Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. It is week 4 already of the 2025 MHSAA football season. And, of course, that means it is Clash for the Cure week here at Freeland High School. Welcome, everybody, to the Freeland Falcons pregame show live here on Michigan Sports Radio and, of course, on my Facebook page. Glad everybody's joining me here. Can you believe it? We're almost halfway through the high school football season. It just seems like yesterday we had the opening game against Saginaw. 3 weeks have flown by, and it's week 4. And tonight it's going to be the 16th annual Clash for the Cure game. We're going to talk a little bit about that too throughout the pregame show and throughout the contest tonight. You can hear the pep band practicing up with their fight song in the background as we're going to be set to go here tonight. A little bit overcast here tonight. It's funny, driving from where I live in Grand Ledge, it was 85 degrees when I left. It's about 66 degrees here. You can tell a little bit of a breeze out of the east, but it's going to be a great night for football for the 16th annual Clash for the Cure game. Now tonight, it's going to be Flint Powers making the trip over. Last year, the Falcons and Flint Powers did battle over there, and it was a 61-6 win for the Falcons over the Chargers of Flint Powers. I don't think it's going to be that big of a margin, but you never know here tonight. But I know Powers has that in the back of their mind as they make the trek over today. And, of course, for the Falcons, it's a chance for them to get back on track. This is a non-conference game, so this is not a Tri-Valley Conference Red Division game. But the Falcons looking to get back on track after last week's game against Swan Valley for the Battle of the Mountain Trophy, the conference game as well. The Falcons, of course, lost that one last week by the score of 31-7. Tough matchup for the Falcons. Just couldn't get any breaks to go their way. They had their chances, especially in the opening half, getting down into the red zone a couple of times, but couldn't really do the job, couldn't get it finished. But they look to bounce back here tonight against Flint Powers. The game last week, the Falcons 3-and-out on the opening possession. Tough job on the punt, and Swan Valley with a big play as Jamison Pelt was the man. He was the star for Swan Valley as he passed for over 200 yards, came in on the 5-wide formation after, of course, he was starting as a flanker, but he threw a couple of touchdown passes, and again, just 50-50 balls went Swan Valley's way, taking nothing away from Swan Valley. They definitely deserve to win. But as talking to head coach Kevin Townsend before the game and hour and a half ago, and then briefly here as he was walking on the field, they're ready tonight. The Falcons are. They're looking to get back on the winning track. Still obviously a lot to play for, the conference, everything. And so, they're just going to try to chalk that one up and get back here this afternoon, or tonight rather, to get back on the winning track, hopefully for the Falcons to get to 3-1. As we mentioned for Powers, they're 0-3, but they've lost some tough games. They've been in some close games here this year. So again, definitely a little bit different than last year. So it'll be a good matchup for the Falcons and the Chargers. Clash for the Cure night, 16th annual Clash for the Cure. We'll talk again about that here as we close the pregame show and also throughout the night during the broadcast. Taking a look at at last week in the Tri-Valley Conference, Bay City John Glenn, they took on Essexville Garber and they won that one 43-13. Bridgeport in a non-conference game took on Detroit University Prep, couldn't quite get the job done. They lost by the score of 20-18. And Frankenmuth, they took on Elma, and it was all Frankenmuth last week, 70-21. So an updated look at the standings in the conference. John Glenn and Frankenmuth both at 2-0. John Glenn, the only team undefeated in the regular season, all their games. They're at 3-0. They've outscored their opponents 108-30 overall and 84-13 in the conference. As for Frankenmuth, they're 2-0 in the conference as well. 2-1 overall with that win last week over Elma, 70-21, as we mentioned. And of course, their opening win over Swan Valley in a close game. So they're 2-0. Swan Valley and Freeland both at 1-1. Alma at 0-2 in the conference, 0-3 overall. Bridgeport 0-1, and Garber 0-1. All three of those teams yet to get a victory here this year. Tonight in conference action, it's going to be Alma taking on Bridgeport. So someone's going to get a win there to get in the winning side, both overall and the conference. Bay City, John Glenn, the game of the night probably in the conference. They're going to take on Swan Valley. Swan Valley flying high after that big win last week against Freeland, as they look to try to keep it going, try to knock John Glenn out of the ranks of the unbeaten to potentially maybe root for John Glenn and Frankenmuth later on when they take on John Glenn. So a lot still at stake in the conference, but a big matchup at John Glenn tonight as they take on Swan Valley. And then Garber is going to take on Frankenmuth. And we talked about the win last week. We talked about the game tonight with Freeland and Flint Powers. So kind of a look around what's going on in the Tri-Valley Conference, and then last week's games and what's coming up tonight. Yesterday, a couple of wins for Freeland at the freshman and the JV level. The freshmen took on Birch Run's JV team, and they won 44-0 over the JV team. So congratulations to them. As Bill Wheeler's team, they are 3-1 on the year. And also the JV team, Coach Kowalski got his 100th win as JV coach here in Freeland. A convincing win as well over Powers, 40-0, I believe that one was. So congratulations to both teams. Convincing wins. The JV still undefeated on the regular season, so they're looking strong as well. Well, we mentioned it's Clash for the Cure Week here at Freeland. And it's a cancer benefit game. They've been doing it now 16 years. President Jennifer Huckabee doing a great job leading the way again for that this year. A lot going on. They've got food trucks. I'm going to be heading down there here shortly to get a smash burger from Wonder Burger. I'll tell you what, those are to die for. Usually when I drive here from Grand Ledge, it's about an hour and a half drive. I have some kind of munchies or something, but this is the one game that I don't do that, because I want to save my appetite for the Wonder Burger, for the Smash Burger. And that's where I'm heading after we're done here with the pregame. I'm going to sneak over there, grab one, and get ready before the game starts. The food is great. They've got all kinds of raffles, some big raffle prizes, and it's all for a great cause, you know. And we've talked with head coach Kevin Townsend about it over the years. It really helps put things in perspective. You know, they're playing tonight, the game, but it's just a game. Each of the players pick someone that they're playing for that's a cancer survivor or maybe has lost that battle with cancer. They're playing in memory of someone, and it's just, it really hits home, you know, and it puts things in perspective with what goes on in life with cancer. These games on the field are, like I said, it's just a game, win or lose. I know it's funny, last week after the Swan Valley game, you know, as bummed out as I was, I can't imagine what the coaching staff and the players were. But, you know, Coach Townsend, I give him so much credit. You know, they have more resolve than I do. I think sometimes I take some of these losses a little bit harder last week. But like I said, it really helps me put things in perspective when it comes to that, because, you know, cancer is the ultimate fight that everybody plays. It's the ultimate game. We all want to beat cancer. And this particular event that they do every year with the players, they've got the special jerseys. You'll see them during the game. They've got the pink outline jerseys. Look phenomenal. Each player plays for a family member or a friend or whomever as they dedicate this game to. The jerseys as well afterwards. It all goes towards the fight for cancer. They pick someone special, you know, for Flint Powers side as well, as someone that might be battling cancer. So it's just all you can't say enough words about it. And my hat's off to them. It's just such a great event that they put on every year. You know, it is a little bit of a distraction for the team, for the coaching staff. You know, we've talked about it numerous times with Coach Townsend, but again, it may be a distraction, but it's all for a good cause, and you can't say enough about it. We'll talk a lot about it throughout the game. They're going to have all the players on the field again. They're going to tell everybody who they're playing for tonight in the pregame. So they do a great job with that as well. And it just, again, Can't say enough about that. They've got, like I mentioned, raffle prizes, door prizes, you name it. They've got the 50-50 raffles like they always do. But some of these prizes, they got Lion Packer tickets. They got a Blackstone they're giving away. The prizes get better every year. So you've still got a few minutes. By the time this airs, you got a few minutes to get down and maybe get some of the raffle tickets. I know they're going to be selling until right about halftime of the game tonight. So if you're in the area, come on, check it out. Stop by the press box and say hi too. I love seeing everybody. It's great talking to everybody around here as well. So the Clash for the Cure game tonight, again, 7 o'clock kick. Can't wait for it. The Falcons and Flint Powers rematch of last year's game, obviously. So it's going to be a great matchup tonight. On the network tonight, we've got some big games going on and some big matchups in the Grand Rapids area. Again, check out all the scores throughout the game. Deb Eck does a fantastic job, as always, with the keeping you up to date on all the scores. But we got some big matchups tonight. Last week we had some big games as well, with Hudsonville beating Caledonia, Rockford with a win, Granville with a win, East Grand Rapids with a win over Grand Rapids Christian, Catholic Central with a win over Lumen Christi, two perennial powerhouses in D5 and D6 every year. Zeeland West suffered their first loss last week against Whitehall. West Catholic with a big win against South Christian. Northview again with another big win. They're one of the top teams in the area, but we've got some big matchups. How about Central Montcalm last week, too, with a big win over Lakeview? They're undefeated. John Tynoff is going to be on the call of their game. We'll give you the lineup here shortly. As Tri-County stays undefeated again with a big win, 55-9 over Grant. So big matchups last week. You can catch the archives of all those games as well here on Michigan Sports Radio. Just hit the on-demand tab. It's that simple. So matchups tonight, we're going to keep an eye on Caledonia and Granville. 2-1 against 2-1. Nate Dreyer and the gang from Michigan Game Night are going to have the audio call of that one. Brock Conkle's got a big matchup here. Undefeated East Kentwood is going to take on Rockford tonight. That's going to be a dandy matchup. 3-0 East Kentwood, kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but Rockford is going to be there. Brock Conkle, the godfather of Michigan Sports Radio, going to have the call of that one as well. We talked about Central Montcalm against White Cloud tonight, a CSAA matchup. John Tynoff's going to have the call of that one. That's going to be a beauty. How about Grand Rapids Catholic Central against East Grand Rapids? 3-0 against 2-1. Eric Wells, he's the man with Grand Rapids Catholic Central. He's going to have the call of that game tonight. Zeeland East and Unity Christian. Here's a big matchup. Matt Geica is going to have that one in Zeeland. Both teams undefeated. Unity Christian 3-0. Zeeland East 2-0. Those are two teams we're going to keep an eye on from afar in Division 4 as playoff positioning starts taking effect later on in the year. Tri-County, Dave Princer is going to have the call of this one against Big Rapids. Big Rapids winning big. They had a huge win over Newaygo last week, so that's going to be a fun matchup. Newaygo and Chip Hills are going to do battle tonight. Coopersville looking for their first win in a River Cities Alliance matchup. They're going to take on Sparta. Scott Morgan's going to have the call of that one. Forest Hills Central and Wyoming doing battle. Hudsonville against West Ottawa. That could be a sneaky good game there. And Manton is going to take on Houghton Lake. And, of course, tomorrow we will have the undefeated Calvin Knights football team. And that one is Bob Sachs going to have the call of that one at 1 o'clock, or tomorrow night, rather, 6:45 pregame of that. So a lot going on Michigan Sports Radio. Check us out for all the scores. And, again, the recaps as well tomorrow of all the games, including this one between Freeland and Flint Powers. All right, we're going to take a break. For those of you watching on Facebook, hop on over to Michigan Sports Radio. Get set up for the game. Audio and video tonight. 7 o'clock kick between the Falcons and the Chargers. That's coming up soon. I know what I'm going to do now. I'm heading over to get me a smash burger. I've been waiting for this one all day long. We'll be right back with more of the pregame right here on MichiganSportsRadio.com.